In the highly anticipated chapter 1110 of One Piece titled Starfall, fans were finally treated to a showcase of the 5 elders in their devil fruit forms. This pivotal moment had been foreshadowed 9 months earlier in chapter 1085, which was titled The Death of Nefertari Cobra, where the elders' abilities were hinted at through silhouettes, leaving people to heavily speculate about their true forms. However, it was in chapter 1094, titled 5 Elders, Godhead of Science and Defense, St. J. Garcia Saturn. That's a long title, where the veil of mystery surrounding one of the elders, Saint Saturn, was partially lifted. It was shown that Saturn possessed the devil fruit power of the Ushi Oni, a mythical demon from Japanese folklore, sparking more theories among fans that the remaining world government leaders might also embody yokai themes. With the groundwork laid, all we could do was sit back and wait until the revelation of the other elders' devil fruit forms, which came as an utter surprise in chapter 1110 when all of the Gorosei landed on Egghead. Oda obviously didn't think that having one of the elders was enough and decided to summon all 5 of them. This subsequent unveiling in Starfall completely exceeded everyone's expectations. During this initial introduction, the 5 elders emerge from satanic circles. Notably, each circle bears a distinct number, with Saturn's original circle marked with a number 5, while Mars displays 4. Looking further reveals Mercury's circle with the number 3 and Venus Juro with number 2. And following this logic, Jupiter is presumed to be number 1. This sequence actually aligns with their chronological order of appearance in Jaya, as well as the order in which Oda initially revealed their names and powers in this particular chapter. The numbered arrangement may suggest a hierarchy, but as people have speculated in the recent chapter 1111, where all the Gorosei seem to be evenly matched, they could function as satellites of Emu, similar to how Vegapunk's creations are designated as Punk 1 through Punk 6. After their initial summoning, we get this incredible double-page spread where fans are finally treated to a detailed unveiling of the 5 elders' designs. This marks a significant moment, as it is not only the reveal of the Gorosei's power, but also the first true double-page spread since chapter 800, nearly a decade prior, which unfortunately has been a rarity post-time skip. Each elder is depicted in their fully transformed state, adorned with awakening clouds on their backs, symbolizing their immense power. And those clouds appearing as black, similar to Lucci and Kaku's black clouds, and dissimilar to Luffy's and Yamato's ones, could spark more speculation into the types of awakenings one could go through. These clouds on the body of an awakened devil fruit Zoan user could indicate whether the user has negative or positive characteristics, and given that the Gorosei represent the pinnacle of evil in the One Piece universe, this kind of makes sense. As the spotlight shifts to each elder, it becomes evident that their designs draw inspiration from an array of demons and demonic creatures from various mythologies. While it was initially speculated that all the elders are exclusively based on Japanese yokai demons, a closer examination reveals that a couple of them draw from creatures found in differing mythologies. But despite the cultural differences, they all share the common trait of embodying the essence of demonic beings. Now, the first Gorosei member that we'll be covering, and also the first one to be revealed, is St. J. Garcia Saturn. And just as fans speculated, Saturn is indeed based on the Gyuki, a yokai from Japanese mythology, which also quite literally translates to cow demon. This creature, which is characterized by its spider-like body and cow-like horns with a demonic face, possesses several formidable powers, 2 of which have been shown in the manga so far. The first is the ability to produce deadly poisons lethal to humans, as evidenced by the recent depiction of corrosive poison at the end of Saturn's legs in chapter 1107, and also him spitting out balls of venom towards Luffy in chapter 1111. The second power the Gyuki possesses is the ability to harm souls with just a gaze, a trait mirrored in One Piece through Saturn's capacity to inflict harm upon others with his stare. Now, one thing to quickly note is that while regeneration is not a known trait for the Gyuki, it is speculated that this ability may be shared among all the Gorosei individually. The second Gorosei, St. Marcus Mars, also derives the strength from the Japanese yokai. He turns into an Itsumade, a yokai that has the features of a bird but the torso and tail of a snake. The Itsumade is further described as having a hideous human-looking face with a beak of saw-like teeth and sharp talons that can easily tear through flesh. Given that Oda's Saint Mars looks quite avian when completely changed, it's probable that when he assumes his hybrid form, his more human features will be apparent. According to its legend, the monster would appear during times of suffering, haunting the skies above human cities and yelling Itsumade, Itsumade, which translates to until when. That is, meaning how long the suffering will last, because it was born as an incarnation of the suffering of the dead. Saint Mars has only been observed flying through Egghead's Labo phase in his bird form thus far, showing just how powerful his healing capabilities are, like Saturn's. Apart from its human-like screams, the Itsumade shouldn't possess any supernatural abilities like the Gyuki, but in order to make these Zoans more versatile than just animals, Oda has given them a lot of creative freedom, so it could have a power that follows along the lines of its legend. The third member of the Gorosei, Saint Topman Walkuri, draws inspiration not from the yokai, but from Chinese mythology's Feng Shi. In Japanese, it is called the Hoki, though this is simply the Japanese reading of this creature from Chinese myth. The Feng Shi, translated to swine seal, is described as a colossal demonic boar or swine-like creature of massive proportions. It bears 4 large tusks, sometimes even more depending on the myth, and its body is clad in fire, able to set things ablaze and burn entire villages. Some ancient texts describe it as a violent creature that terrorizes the countryside by destroying farmlands and killing people. However, other sources cite it as a good creature, some even expressing it as an ancient rain deity. Honestly, this particular demon was surprisingly hard to research. There wasn't too much information, and a ton of the pictures showed the boar boss battle from the game Wo Long, Fallen Dynasty, so of course I had to include a picture of him. In Oda's depiction, we can see how he played with his large mustache by turning it into large tusks, of which there seem to be 4 in total, just like some of the myths. Even his birthmarks on his head seem to have been adapted into the pattern of his boar-like skin. Again, Oda hasn't given us much information on his exact powers, and he likely relies on the rampaging force of his giant boar form to trample his enemies, as well as turning his horns into giant blades. However, the potential rain-bringing powers as well as the fire powers could be used to provide him with a more nuanced means of dealing with his enemies. The fourth Gorosei, Saint Ethan Baron Venus Juro, possesses the ability to transform into the Death Horse, known in Japanese as Bakotsu, which translates to skeleton horse. Now, this draws from a fairly obscure yokai that is also called the Bakotsu, and it is said to be a yokai that took in the spirit form of a horse that was burned to death. But in this case, Oda draws inspiration from the various mythological depictions of skeleton horses, rather than that specific yokai. It is very reminiscent of the Pale Horse of Death from European mythology, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and typically depicted as a skeletal horse shrouded in drapes. It symbolizes death itself and serves as a harbinger of doom. However, we also see Venus Juro transforming into his hybrid form where he turns into a centaur, allowing the top half of his body to look human and wield a sword. And in the manga, we see him using swift dashes to effortlessly disable almost every pacifista along the coast. Notably, his strikes appear to freeze rather than cleanly slice through the pacifistas, allowing them to be decommissioned without irreparable damage, which preserves their expensive pacifistas for future use. This freezing effect, accompanied by a cloud surrounding the slash, hints at Venus Juro's ability to draw upon the underworld's cold, which is similar to how Brook's Devil Fruit allows him to harness that very same power. Another intriguing detail is the use of Haki in Venus Juro's katana, transforming it into a black blade momentarily, which is different from its appearance in the previous panels where it resembled a normal blade. One thing to note is that Venus Juro's sword bears the distinctive hilt of the Kitetsu line, the same lineage to which Zoro's Sendai Kitetsu belongs to, marking it as a potential candidate of the legendary Shodai Kitetsu. As one of the Saijo o Wazamono, the 12 supreme swords in the world, the Shodai Kitetsu stands along the swords like Mihawk's Juro and Roger's Ace. Therefore, since the 5 elders are so powerful, beating them could require pairing the Straw Hat Swordsman Zoro and Brook up against Venus Juro. And finally, the last Gorosei, Saint Shepherd Jupiter, who has the ability to change into a giant sandworm. A creature that has appeared in many myths, but it is commonly associated with the Deathworm, a monstrous creature from Mongolian folklore that is supposed to have been prowling the Gobi Desert's dunes since ancient times.
It was big! It was all quickly, and it ate everything! It was an Alaskan bullworm!
However, the sandworm has been widely recognized in contemporary mythology as a result of Frank Herbert's portrayal of it in his fiction novel Dune. And its portrayal in One Piece appears to be quite close to the original depiction of the sandworm in Dune. And according to the ancient Mongolian folklore, sandworms are extremely deadly and may kill you with just a touch, which could also apply in this case. Additionally, in modern portrayals, they are depicted as having the capacity to burrow underground like actual worms, but because of their enormous size, they are able to build vast tunnels and travel at horrifying speeds, which means that they may attack at any moment and from any location. The fact he burrows into the ground as a worm is fitting for the Gorosei that is the war god of agriculture, quite literally tending to the soil. We do see Jupiter in action, who burrows into the ground and suddenly appears to swallow Luffy. However, Dory and Brogy slice clean through him, calling back to the first encounter between Luffy and Dory, where he was swallowed by a Brontosaurus, but Dory cut his neck off, allowing Luffy to escape. Despite how amazing any of these forms may appear, there remains a crucial component that might lead to yet another revelation of significance. And that is the moniker for their devil fruits, as for instance, Saturn's fruit being called the Gyuki. Like, that's pretty much it. There is no spider fruit or no me model version. He is simply a Gyuki, or to put it plainly, a demon. There is simply no reason for leaving out the no me mythical model section in favor of merely listing their names, which could suggest that they are probably actual demons rather than the devil fruit users, as their powers do not contain any fruit. Their use of a form of dark magic serves as more evidence for this. Saint Saturn summoned the 5 elders to Egghead, including himself, using demonic circles. Also, this power isn't connected to any of the Zoan forms of the 5 elders, indicating the presence of another kind of power, maybe particularly something to do with their evil nature. But this is just speculation, as they do still indeed have those awakening clouds regardless of its colour, which suggests that it must be in fact some sort of fruit. And Oda may be choosing to omit those names in favor of more mystery, or the names of the yokai are quite literally in fact just the names of the fruits. The 5 elders seem like formidable foes in either case, and given their immortality and the fact that Luffy needs Gear 5 to go toe to toe with just one of them, they could already be too strong for the Straw Hats to overcome at this point. A lot of people anticipate that this storyline will conclude with the Straw Hats escaping, but potentially not before they defeat Saint Saturn, if they figure out how to defeat him, that is. It's now coming to the end of the video, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy you stopped by. My channel is steadily growing, and I'm amazed at the support I'm getting. And I also have a Patreon now, so feel free to support me however you like. The link will be in the description, and I will shout out names at the end of each video. Thank you again, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.